Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Glad to see all of you here today. Please go ahead and adjust your cell phones to mute or turn them off. And when you're ready, we'll sing our joy song, I'm Glad for This New Day.
Wait. Don't start yet. Okay, we're doing something new. Come on, everybody, up on your feet. Okay, so here's the thing. A couple of weeks ago, I went to I work at St. Elizabeth's. I've been there almost 6 years. I'm their parish administrator. And I went to a service Wednesday night a couple of weeks ago because the new priest was installed. And their church is small like ours, only the steeple, the inside of the church is like this. The acoustics are amazing. And so there were 100 people there. And they were all singing in an amazing strength of voice. And I was really hoping, we came up with this idea, that if I sang up here this joy song with everybody and really, held the energy high, that somehow we could lift our voices a little more and that we would actually belt it out. We know that God's everywhere and God's not like up in heaven, and so we have to scream because of that, because we know that God's presence is everywhere. But it was so inspiring. It really was wonderful. So I would just like for us to try to... Laurel, that means you too. Don't make that face. I see you making that face. Come on, really, we can do it. We can be a little more lively when we sing our wonderful hymns and give full voice to these songs. Can we try that today?
Sure.
Yes. Oh, yay! Thank you, Joy. All right, here we go. Glad for this new day. I am glad for this new day. I am firm within God's power, and I feel the presence here. I salute the Christ in all, and I listen without fear, with clear mind and happy heart. I am glad for this new day. Repeat. I am glad for this new day. I am glad for this new day. I am firm within God's power, and I feel the presence near. I salute the Christ in all, and I listen without fear. With clear mind and happy heart, I am glad for this new day. I am glad for this new day. Yes! Woo! Fabulous. Thank you for playing.
Our reader today is Anne. Our Joy. See, I'm claiming you. Joy is our guest musician, and we're always, she's like a family musician with us today. Doug will be bringing our message. So let's get ready for our words of inspiration.
I'm going to sit this morning because this is very long. But Doug was so graciously to give me time to read this because it's a message for everybody. It's really good. It's almost a sermon in itself, or message in itself. And he cut his message a little short. The Awakening by Sonny Carroll. There comes a time in your life when you finally get it, when in the midst of all your fears and insanity, you stop dead in your tracks, and somewhere the voice inside your head cries out, enough! Enough fighting and crying or struggling to hold on. And like a child quieting down after a blind tantrum, Your sobs begin to subside. You shudder once or twice. You blink back your tears, and through a mantle of wet lashes, you begin to look at the world from a new perspective. This is your awakening. You realize that it is time to stop hoping and waiting for something or someone to change, or for happiness, safety, and security to come galloping over the next horizon. Keep dry. You come to terms with the fact that there aren't any fairy tale endings or beginnings for that matter, and that any guarantee of happily ever after must begin with you. Then a sense of serenity is born of acceptance. So you begin making your way through the reality of today rather than the holdings out for the promise of tomorrow. You realize that much of who you are and the way you navigate through life is, in great part, a result of all the social conditioning you've received over the course of a lifetime. And you begin to sift through all the nonsense you were taught about. How you should look, and how you should weigh, how much you should weigh, what you should wear, and where you should shop, where you should live, or what type of car you should drive, who you should sleep with, and how you should behave, who you should marry, and why you should stay, the importance of bearing children, or what you owe your family. Slowly, you begin to open up to new worlds and different points of view, and you begin reassessing and redefining who you are and what you really believe in, and you begin to discard the doctrines you have outgrown or should have never practiced to begin with. You accept the fact that you are not perfect, and that not everyone will love, appreciate, or approve of who or what you are, and that's okay. They are entitled to their own views and opinions, and you come to and you come to terms with the fact that you will never be a size 5 or a perfect 10 or a perfect human being for that matter. And you never stop trying to compete with the magic inside your head or agonizing over how you compare. And you take a long look at yourself in the mirror and you make a promise to give yourself the same unconditional love and support you gave so freely to others. Then a sense of confidence is born of self-approval. And you stop maneuvering through life merely as a consumer, hungry for your next fix, a new dress, another pair of shoes, or looks of approval and admiration from family, friends, or even strangers who pass by. Then you discover that it is truly in giving that we receive, and that the joy and abundance you seek grows out of the giving. And you recognize the importance of creating and contributing rather than obtaining and accumulating. And you give thanks for the simple things you've been blessed with, things that millions of people upon the earth can only dream about: a full refrigerator, clean running water, a soft, warm bed, the freedom of choice, and the opportunity to pursue your own dreams. And you begin to love and to care for yourself. You stop engaging in self-destructive behaviors, including participating in dysfunctional relationships. You begin eating a well-balanced diet, drinking more water, and exercising. And because you've learned that fatigue drains the spirit and creates doubt and fear, You give yourself permission to rest. And it is food. And just as food is fuel for the body, laughter is fuel for the spirit. And so you make a point to create time for play. Then you learn about love and relationships. How to love, how much to give in love, when to stop giving and when to walk away. And you will allow only the hands of a lover who truly loves and respects you to glorify you with a touch. You learn about people. Don't always say what they mean or mean what they say. You learn that people don't always, I said that, intentionally or unintentionally, and that not everyone will always come through. And interestingly enough, it's not always about you. So you stop lashing out and pointing fingers or looking to place blame for the things that were done to you or weren't done for you. And you learn to keep your ego in check and to acknowledge and redirect the destructive emotions it spawns: anger, jealousy, and resentment. You learn how to say, "I was wrong," and to forgive people for their own human frailties. You learn to build bridges instead of walls, and about the healing power of love as it is expressed through a kind word, a warm smile, or a friendly gesture. And at the same time, you eliminate any relationships that are hurtful or fail to uplift you and edify you. You stop working so hard at smoothing things over and setting your needs aside. You learn that feelings of entitlement are perfectly okay, and that it is your right to want or expect certain things. And you learn the importance of communicating your needs with confidence and grace. You learn that the only cross to bear is the one you choose to carry, and that eventually martyrs are burned at the stake. Then you learn to distinguish between guilt and responsibility and the importance of setting boundaries and learning to say no. You learn that you don't know all the answers. It's not your job to save the world, and that sometimes you just need to let go. Moreover, you learn to look at people as they really are, and not as you would want them to be. And you are careful not to project your neediness or insecurities onto a relationship. You learn that you will not be more beautiful, more intelligent, more lovable, or important because of the man on your arm or the child that bears your name. You learn that just as people grow and change, so it is with love and relationships, and that not everyone can always love you the way you would like to be loved. So you stop appraising your worth by the measure of love you are given, and suddenly you realize that it's wrong to demand that someone live their life or sacrifice their dreams just to serve your needs, ease your insecurities, or meet your standards and expectations. You learn that the only love worth giving and receiving is the love that is given freely without conditions or limitations. And you learn what it means to love. So you stop trying to control people, situations, and outcomes. You learn that alone does not mean lonely. And you begin to discover the pay of spending time with yourself and on yourself. Then as you discover the greatest and most fulfilling love you will ever know, self-love, and so it comes to pass that through the understanding your heart heals, and now all new things are possible. Moving along, you begin to avoid toxic people and conversations, and you stop wasting time and energy rehashing your situation with family and friends. You learn that talk doesn't change things, and that unrequited wishes can only serve to keep you trapped in the past. So you stop lamenting you stop lamenting over what could or should have been, and you make a decision to leave the past behind. Then you begin to invest your time and energy to affect positive things, positive change. You take a personal inventory of all your strengths and weaknesses and the areas you need to improve in order to move ahead. You set your goals and map out a plan of action to see through things. You learn that life isn't always fair, and you don't always get what you think you deserve. And you stop personalizing every loss or disappointment. You learn to accept that sometimes bad things happen to good people, and that these things are not an act of God, but merely a random act of fate. And you stop looking for guarantees, because you've learned that the only thing you can really count on is the unexpected, and that whatever happens, you'll learn to deal with it. And you can learn that the only thing you must truly fear is the great robber baron of all time, fear itself. So you learn to step right into and through our fears, because to give into fear is to give away the fulfilling prophecy. To give away right to live life on your terms. You learn that much of life truly is a self-fulfilling prophecy. And you learn to go after what you want and not to squander your life living under a cloud of indecision, feelings, or impending doom. Then you learn about money, the personal power and independence it brings, and the options it creates. And you recognize the necessity to create your own personal wealth. Slowly you begin to take responsibility for yourself, by yourself. And you make a promise to never betray yourself and to never ever settle for less than your heart desires. And a sense of power is born of self-reliance. And you live with honor and integrity, because you know that these principles are not the outdated ideals of a bygone era, but the mortar that holds together the foundation upon which you must build your life. And you make it a point to keep smiling, to keep trusting, and to stay open to every wonderful opportunity and exciting possibility. Then you hang a wind chime outside your window to remind yourself what beauty there is in simplicity. This is the end. Last page. Most important. Finally, with courage in your heart and with God by your side, you take a stand, you take a deep breath, and you begin to design the life you want to live as best as you can. A word about the power of prayer. In some of my darkest, more painful, and frightening hours, I have prayed, not for the answers to my prayers or for material things, but for my God to help me find the strength, confidence, and courage to persevere, to face each day and to do what I must do. Remember this, you are an expression of the Almighty. The Spirit of God resides within you and moves through you. Open your heart. Speak to that Spirit, and it will heal and empower you. My God has never failed me.
Thank you, Ann. All right. Our hymn will be projected, so you may rise when you're ready. And while you're doing that, I'll take this moment to say welcome and hello to everyone out there watching us as we live stream. We're glad you're with us. All right, infinite wisdom guides my way.
Well, I love to hear your voices. That was beautiful. I like to hear them sing strong and loud and on key. Now's the time for our Bible verse. Today I'm paraphrasing Matthew 20 for us. The Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve. Did not come to be served, but to serve. It made me think this week, you know, in many respects, all of us are leaders in one way or another. Some of us lead children in school. Some of us lead a household as a mother or father. Some of us lead at work. And some of us lead as mentors to others. So in many respects, we are all leaders. And it reminded me of a story in the Revolutionary War. There was a detachment of some soldiers, and they were under the auspices of an officer, and they were dispatched to put a bridge across a small river, and they were felling these great trees across the river, and it was taking them forever and ever and ever to do this. And all of a sudden, a man rode up on a horse, and he looked at him and he said, "Well, it looks like you have not enough men to do the job here, officer." And the officer said, "No, I certainly don't. I don't have enough men to do this. They didn't give me enough." And he said, "Well, why aren't you helping them?" He said, "Oh, I can't do that. I'm an officer." Well, with that, the man got off the horse, and he went to helping the soldiers fell those trees and make that bridge. And after the completion of the task, as he was getting back up on his horse, he said to that young officer, he said, "The next time you come to a task and it's hard for you to do and you don't have enough men, come to the commander-in-chief and get me, and I'll help you again." That was General George Washington. You see, he had great ability and great humility. He had great respect for others. And that's what we should be doing as leaders to other people. As we mentor others, as we lead each other in the church service. That is how we build the bridges of leadership. Will you say with me and recite with me now the statement of being in our orders of service? God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am the individualized expression of God, and never one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance.
Morning, Joy.
This is a song called Satisfied Mind, and Rick's going to join me on the piano. Just kidding. How many times have you heard someone say, if I had money, I would do things my way. Little they know that it's so hard to find one rich man in town with a satisfied mind. Money can't buy back all your youth when you're old. A friend when you're lonely, on time this morning.
Good.
Now's the time in our service for our healing meditation. And I invite you to take a good seat, to become comfortable. Release and relax all your cares and worries. The sun is out now. Spring is just around the corner. God is answering our prayers. We rest in our Father, Mother, God. We can take the word hurry out of all of our activities and our daily lives. We can just relax and release. We can take the word grab out of our friendships and our relationships and relax and release. We no longer have to fear nor fear that other plane that we transition to. Father, Mother, God, is as close to us as our own beating hearts. Father, I acknowledge the sun shining, warming the earth, warming my life, even as your words, deeds, and answered prayers warm our very lives. I invite you in these next 90 seconds to turn over your life, turn over your cares and worries this moment for just a few moments. Let it go. Let go and let God. Even now. we are reminded that He is gentle and humble in heart. And He will rest in our souls. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, God. And answered prayer. And it is so. Amen.
Amen.
Now, well, we're in a prayerful mood where you say the Lord's Prayer after me. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed is thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will is done on earth as it is in heaven. Thou givest us this day our daily bread. Thou forgivest us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Thou leadest us not into temptation, but dost deliver us from all evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about some mysteries. And then I'm going to get on subject. And that subject will not be a mystery. And I will tell you this service, or this talk, really is more for me than probably any of you. This one is for me and for my learning. But first we're going to introduce it with some mysteries. And then we'll work it into where it is not a mystery. Have you ever heard of the Voynich manuscript? Well, this is a manuscript that was produced around 1408 to 1420. It was discovered, they think, somewhere in Italy near the Renaissance period it was written. And in 1912, a theologian discovered this manuscript. Now, what's interesting, the manuscript right now is housed at Yale University in their rare books and manuscripts. And what's interesting about this manuscript, it's like 400 or 240 pages to 246 pages. A few are missing. But it's all intricate drawings and beautiful writings and some plants that have been drawn. The problem is, no one can read this. They've had code breakers trying to read this since World War II, World War I. No one can read it, can break the code. Now they know it is some kind of language because in it, it repeats itself and it does have some Latin words in it. And it reads left to right. And also interesting is some of the plant life drawn in there doesn't even exist. It's just another mystery. They think, some people think, of course, well, this is a lost civilization. It's an unknown language that we don't even know about today. Well, that's where it stands still today, in the vaults at Yale University. You know, another mystery is the Mary Celeste. That was an American merchant ship that was 400 miles offshore in the Atlantic near the Azores. On December 5th, 1872, they found her sails were still up. All the provisions, 6 months worth of provisions, were on board. All the clothing for the entire crew was there, as well as the captain. A lifeboat, though, was missing, and no one was aboard. No one. The ship was in perfect sailing shape. All the food you'd want. And they never did find one trace of any of the crew or the captain And the captain had his family on board also. Not a trace. Just another mystery. And you've heard of this one, the lost colony of Roanoke. 1587. 117 people were in the lost colony of Roanoke. It was just off Dare County, North Carolina. And this is where John White came in 1587. He was trying to make a first settlement. And he had with him his wife, his daughter, and granddaughter, Virginia Dare, their first English child born on American soil. Virginia Dare. Born in 1587. Well, he was going to go back to England and get some more provisions, come back. He was leaving 117 people behind. Well, when he went back to England, a little thing happened called the Anglo-Saxon War, and it came in between him and coming back. So it was 3 years before he made it back in 1590. And when he did make it back, there wasn't anybody there. The settlement was still there, but there were no people. Not one person. And scrawled on a post were these words, Croton, C-R-O-A-T-O-A-N. And scrawled in a tree was C-R-O. And that's all that's ever been discovered about the lost colony of Roanoke. Now, they did do some digging in 1998 around Hatteras, and they think they might have found something, but they can't really guarantee it yet, or can't say for sure that this is any remnants from the peoples of the lost colony. They think what really happened is they assimilated themselves with the Indians and just went off, never to be seen again. Just another mystery. I'm going to bring one more to your attention. The Dyatlov Pass. Russia just talked about it here February the 4th. They brought up a brand new investigation of this. The Dyatlov Pass, 1959. There were 9 people that from a Russian university that were very, very good backpackers, skiers, and outdoorsmen. There were 7 men and 2 women. And they came from this university, and they were trying to get their certification to be even the pinnacle, the top of the certifications for backpacking and skiing in 1959. So they were out in the cold weather. Well, it was snowy. Well, they were supposed to check in, and no one ever heard from them, so they went looking for them. And what they found was the tent ripped open, no one in there. And they didn't find anyone around, so they searched the whole area, and they found some people miles away from the tent without all their clothing on. Well, it makes me think, well, hypothermia, that's what happened. Well, it gets more interesting. You see, they found several of the people with internal organ damage. I don't know how that happened. And they also discovered that there was a little bit of radioactivity on some of the bodies. Well, they've named that pass the Dyatlov Pass. And like I said here, February the 4th, just weeks ago, or days ago, Russia's reopened that case, trying to find out what happened. They ruled it as like a spontaneous event because they just do not know. Let's talk about one more mystery, the iodide aluminum wedge. In 1973 in Romania, they were doing some digging. They were putting in a trench, and they ran across some mastodon bones. And they were, as you know, they were hundreds of thousands of years old, the mastodon bones. Matter of fact, they dated them to 250,000 years old. But right beside the mastodon bones was an iodide aluminum wedge. It was like a like a wedge, but made out of aluminum. It was 89% aluminum. Well, this is all fine and good, and they dated this to 250,000 years ago, except for people who did not know how to make aluminum 248,200 some years after that. And they cannot figure out exactly how that aluminum wedge got there. Oh, conspiracists like to say, well, that means there were aliens here for sure. You know, that came off their landing craft. That's where that came off. You see, you can't make aluminum unless the temperature's over 1,000 degrees, and people at that time, 250,000 years ago, just could not do that. This is the last mystery I will share with you. The Priya-Rias map. In 1912, it was discovered. It was drawn by a Turkish admiral in, I think, 1513. And he drew with such clarity and such closeness to even today's maps. He drew North America, Europe, some of Africa, some of Brazil. And he even used a technique called the mercator projection. It's where you can line your map with a meridian if you're doing a circumference type map. The only problem was in the 1500s. This wasn't discovered until the 1600s. Professor Hapgood of New Hampshire University discovered that. And here's what's really interesting about the Priya-Rias map. It has all this landmass. You can almost take it and lay it over today's maps, and it's very, very accurate. And it's done on a gazelle skin of all things. But it also drew Antarctica. Antarctica in the 1500s. That was not discovered until 1773 by Captain Cook. And they do not know how that was put in that map. They do not know how Antarctica was drawn on a map in the 1513s. That's enough about some of the interesting mysteries in life. Now I'll tell you one thing though. This is not a mystery. This is not a mystery. What you hate, you become. This is not the mystery. What you hate, you become. February the 27th, just a few days ago, up in Trenton, New Jersey, there was an 81-year-old man leaving the grocery store. He had his cart full of groceries. And he's walking out of the grocery store and he's got his MAGA hat on, Make America Great, you know, the red hat. And he meets a 19-year-old boy outside the grocery store. And they get in an argument. And the 19-year-old boy tries to take the hat, and they're tugging it back and forth, and the 81-year-old man is thrown on the ground. His grocery cart is tipped over, and all the groceries are in the parking lot, and then his hat is flicked aside. What you hate, you become. You know, Reverend Martin Luther King has some great, great quotations. He says, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." I want to share with you sometimes Native Americans had some great, great quotes and customs. I want to share with you one. It's a Cherokee Indian. And it says, in each of us there are two wolves. One wolf is bad, greedy, angry, resentful, deceitful. And the other wolf within us is good, kind, generous, loving, peaceful. And then the proverb goes on and says, which wolf will win? And these smart Cherokees say, the one you feed. The one you feed wins. In Romans 15:7, Paul was writing, therefore accept one another as Christ has accepted us for the glory of God. Therefore accept one another as Christ has accepted us for the glory of God. There's a college in Illinois called Wheaton College. It's a small liberal arts school. It's a good school. Matter of fact, it's in the top 10 liberal arts schools in the United States. It's ranked number 8. They have like over 80 to 90 countries represented on campus. 43 undergraduate degrees were awarded. 17 graduate or doctorate degrees. I mean, this is a good school. Back in the 60s, you remember the counterculture back in the 60s, the burning of the flag, and the hippies, and the long hair. Some of us can remember that. Well, the president of the college, at Wheaton College, was a man named Dr. Hudson Anderding. That is his name, I did check. He was a very, very, very conservative man. He'd served in World War II as a line officer. Went through 11 campaigns in World War II. He's the kind of guy that liked his hair nice and tight, you know. And you wear a tie wherever you go. You got to look right. And he's the president of this college during this time of great revolt. He was president from 1965 to 1982. And one day he was giving a speech to all the people, the whole crowd, all the students, and invited parents and so forth. It was almost like a commencement. And before this speech, he had a little circle of chairs that he was inviting some people to come and sit, and they were going to share some ideas before his speech. And he was sitting down, Dr. Hudson. Oh, and all of a sudden, I saw walking towards him one of the students, long hair. He didn't even have a belt. He had a sash on. And of all things, this man, or this boy, sat right beside him. Right beside him in that empty seat. He was just so annoyed. And as they were sitting there, and they were getting ready to go up and go on, give the speech, the young man said, wait, before we break, let me say a prayer for Dr. Hudson. And he said a short prayer, sort of like, dear God, let's bless Dr. Hudson with what he's going to say. Let our hearts be open for his message. Well, they disbanded, and Dr. Hudson went ahead and gave his speech. I guess it was a good one, I don't know. And at the close of the speech, he looked down from his platform and he looked at that boy and he said, come up here. All the other students thought, oh no, he's going to get expelled right here in front of all of us. He's going to get suspended. And as the young man came up, Dr. Hudson stepped off his platform and gave him a hug and embraced him. And the whole crowd went wild and celebrating. Therefore, accept one another as Christ has accepted us. That's the lesson. Therefore, accept one another. I'm going to give you a different closing to this February the 27th scenario. The old man still got his groceries and he was leaving. He still had his MAGA hat on. And the 19-year-old did come up to him. But he said, "You know, sir, I know you love America, and I know I love America. And with just that little bit of seed, we have something to talk about." Accept one another as Christ has accepted us. Will you go within with me? Dear God, thank you, thank you, thank you, God, for this church and this accepting church. We have much to offer the valley, much to offer each other. Thank you, Father, for the music, talented musicians. For each person here and the talent and the leadership they have shown today and throughout the week and throughout the year, that they do things for us and for each other. Thank you, God, that I can take accepting one another as Christ has accepted me and us for the glory of God. Amen.
Amen.
This is a song I wrote called Cardinal, and it's to celebrate the coming of spring. I'm looking forward to. I have to shift gears because I'm really affected by Doug's message. Thank you very much, Doug. Rock it out a little bit here.
When the day's way too long and everything is wrong, I need a little song and you come back again. My red feathered friend, I just need a little break from all of the heartache, my sanity's at stake, and you come back again. My red feathered friend, and maybe there's a message that you send. You come back again. I've been thinking way too much of life and death and such, and leaving chores untouched, and you come back again. My red feathered friend, it seems you're telling me to sing, and you live everything, and that it's almost spring, and you come back again. My red feathered friend, and maybe that's the message that you send. You come back again. And maybe it's just love you send, a reminder that
It's time for the blessing of our gifts. Please say with me, today I acknowledge God, omnipresent, as the source of all good, as the source of my good. With this acknowledgement, I accept His will, which is abundance in every aspect of my life. I release all thoughts of lack and limitation, and I am open and receptive to the increased flow of abundance to me right now. I joyfully accept the gifts of life and give freely of the special gift that I am. Through me, God omnipresent blesses and multiplies this gift for all. Thank you, dear God. While the baskets are coming around, will you thank all those around you for the special gift that they are?
And likewise, you have special gifts.
All right, our prayer basket is coming around, so please take one or two people to pray for this week. I found if you take a little tiny piece of tape and tape it in your car somewhere, you'll see it every day. You won't forget it.
Good morning, afternoon. Thank you for that message, Doug. Doug and I talked earlier, the message was also for me. So just thank you. To get some of these things. And that reading that Ann did was also very, I read it last night. She sent it to me and I read it and it was very prayerful. And it is a lot for us to think about, you know, and sometimes we do just have to let things go. And when you learn how to do that, you're so much happier. And then Rick and I were talking to Marie last week about, you know, how sometimes she probably thinks that we don't listen, but we listen a lot. And I know I've learned a lot, and I've grown a lot, but I've got a long ways to go. And work in progress. So if I don't do it in this time, I'll do it on the next journey. So, let's see, next Sunday is our potato luncheon, and it's $5. And if you haven't signed up, please do so today, because I think Ann and Bob are going to go get the potatoes this week. So we just want to make sure that we have plenty. It's potatoes with the toppings and with dessert and drink for $5. You can't go out and eat for that. So anyhow, please join us next week, next Sunday for that, right after church.
And where's the sign up?
It's in the annex. Also, Ann, you doing your craft thing Tuesday night, or Thursday night? Okay, yeah. Ann's craft class will be Thursday night at 6:30. The flowers this week are sponsored by me for Kathy's birthday. Happy birthday. So, also, the flower calendar is on the wall. I think I'll put that on the beginning. So, and there's still some blank spaces on it, so if you will fill them in, we'd greatly appreciate it. Also, as I announced last week, there's 2 board positions open for this year. We have staggered elections. Dale has requested to come off of the board, so if anybody is willing to run for that position, and my position is up for re-election also, so if anybody wants to step up and be elected for anything, but definitely Dale wants to come off of the board, so we have to at least find one position for that, one person for that. Did you do anything, Marita? Are you still doing Wednesday night, 5 o'clock? Are you still doing the book, or have y'all moved on?
No, we haven't finished the book.
Okay, all right, okay. All right, I think that's all I had for today. All right, thanks. Thank you, Joy.
Thank you, Joy.
Great.
Our last hymn is Life is for Living. It's page 13. We'll ask that you sing both verses. So when you're ready, please rise and we'll sing Life is for Living.
Thank you.
get fluid out of your eyes.
Yes, I know, you did a very good job.
I'm coming. There. Here. There you go.
Hand in hand, life is for living and loving and sharing. As we go forth this week with a heart of acceptance, let us go with peace and love. And the congregation said, Amen.
Amen.